across the Central West. This is Win News.
Tonight, Orange no longer in severe drought. Heart disease remains the country's #1 killer. And teaching quad bike safety from an early age. Good evening, I'm Jeff Phillips. Also tonight, 2 floristry students from TAFE take home a prestigious award which grants them a scholarship to continue their studies. Orange is among parts of New South Wales to be moved out of the severe drought category, with recent rain providing much needed relief. Landholders should remain vigilant as dry conditions are still bringing challenges for farming.
Finally, a healthy green in paddocks as much needed rain delivers relief for farmers. Parts of the state have been downgraded from the intense drought category.
Overall, it just makes you feel better. Having the colour green rather than brown and not so much dust in the air is good for the mind.
The Holmans had been spending almost $25,000 a week on 2.5 truckloads of feed. With rain improving pastures, they've scaled this back to half a truckload.
And still hand feeding quite a large volume of pellets. But certainly we're able to cut back on feeding the hay, which is a good thing because the hay is getting harder and harder to get.
Spring storm conditions are variable, with the vast majority of the state remaining in drought.
We have had some rainfall in the eastern parts of the state in early spring, and we are seeing some early signs of growth. However, as we go further west, conditions remain very dry.
Those who have received rain should assess their pastures before letting livestock out of feedlots.
Having to keep the livestock off those pastures until the pastures have recovered is really crucial to make sure that those perennial pastures survive the next dry spell.
With fodder being freighted across the country, it's also essential to watch for foreign weeds starting to sprout after rain. Alison Dance, Win News.
Meanwhile, a large storm cell has moved through the region, causing a fire and even destroying the wiring of a home in Molong. The RFS was called to assist the resident on Jason Street, where the home's switchboard was blown off the wall. In Mudgee, it was light and quick, with most of the storm clouds clearing by lunchtime and a little over 1 millimetre registering in the gauge. Down the road at Wellington, about 7 millimetres was recorded, and in Orange, more than 8 millimetres fell at the airport. In Dubbo, there was hardly enough rain to be recorded. We'll have more on the rainfall and what to expect later in the week, a little later in the bulletin with Tanya. Australia's leading cause of death is still heart disease, with over 1,800 people dying from ischemic heart diseases in 2017. The Australian Bureau of Statistics released its annual data, which has provided an insight into the country's top 20 killers.
Heart disease has been Australia's biggest killer for the past 10 years. Health professionals say one of the contributors is fast food and the convenience of it.
When people are under pressure, when they're running busy lives, even if they have the knowledge about what would be healthy, it's about the time to plan and prepare that.
Suicide rates are increasing, with over 3,000 people taking their own lives last year, which is an increase of 1,000 lives since 2008. Mental health professionals say any number of suicide-related deaths is too high.
No one should have to experience those sorts of thoughts. No one should have to experience, a loved one, losing a loved one in that circumstance. I think that everyone is entitled to help.
While heart disease and mental health are some of the biggest killers, deaths associated with influenza have tripled over the past decade, following one of the worst flu seasons on record last year. The stats also show that Australia has lower death rates directly attributed to alcohol compared to 20 years ago. But despite all of this, doctors say the key to a long life is a healthy lifestyle.
And the last one, of course, is all the preventative healthcare interventions that we do, regular skin checks, mammograms, so on, just to screen what we can look out for and pick up early.
If this story has affected you in any way, you can contact Lifeline. Ellie Bryce, Win News.
Quad bike accidents are the leading cause of deaths or accidents on Australian farms, and more than 40 children have died on quad bikes in the last 18 years. It's hoped a new TAFE vehicle safety course for high school students will change those statistics.
Most of these high school students have been riding motorbikes for years, but this 2-day course run by TAFE is taking them back to basics. And despite their experience, they understand how important it is to improve their safety skills.
Most of the students have stories of near accidents or kids or friends that have actually had accidents.
For most, riding a quad bike or two-wheeler will be a daily occurrence in their future careers.
It's really important to actually get them to learn the safety side of things so that when they go out into full-time work in the ag industry, which most of these students are going to do, that they're actually safe and competent.
The course teaching them everything they'll need to know, from initial safety checks to fast braking.
How to safely stop if an obstacle comes out, like a sheep or a cow, something, and how to turn properly and accelerate, when to use the throttle and when to back off.
But it's tipping over quads that leads to the most accidents and deaths.
Students learning to shift their weight when going around corners to reduce the risk of rolling the quad bikes.
But TAFE instructors say the course is not only valuable for high school students.
We often have people who've been riding for some time come in here, and we challenge test them and pick up on a few points that, or give them a few pointers to increase their level of safety when they're riding.
Urging people not to wait until something happens to them. OLIVIA, CALVER, Win News.
Tickets to the old Dubbo Drive-In Theatre during the Dream Festival are selling quickly, an indication of how popular the experience will be. It's the first time the drive-in has opened in 18 months, but prior to that it had been closed for more than 30 years. The Westview Drive-In will be offering 3 movies during the Dream Festival, and after going on sale only yesterday, the tickets to the Incredibles 2 session have already sold out. There are still tickets available for the other 2 movie screenings, Jaws and Back to the Future. Unions claim firefighters are 12 times more likely than the general population to contract a range of cancers, including that affecting the brain, breast and prostate. They now want the state government to acknowledge the risk and adopt legislation to help stricken colleagues access compensation.
Former firefighter Terry Adams served more than 3 decades in the fire brigade until a diagnosis of bowel and then prostate cancer forced him to medically retire. While he's proud of his time in uniform, he believes it could have been what caused him to get sick.
I mean, it is something very difficult to prove, but I mean, 33 years of being exposed to, all sorts of chemicals and God knows what.
The Fire Brigade Employees Union says there are a dozen cancers firefighters are at much greater risk of developing. They want legislation passed that would automatically presume certain cancers were caused by exposures on the job.
In the past, when you get one of these illnesses, you have to prove that you've contracted the illness from work, and that's quite a long battle, which is quite a horrible thing to go through for people suffering from cancer.
In a statement, the Minister for Finance, Services and Property said the government is taking advice on shifting the burden of proof from firefighters onto the insurance companies. In the meantime, New South Wales Labor is introducing a bill to Parliament.
It's been very expensive, so a bit of help would be good.
Fire and Rescue says it's working to further strengthen measures to reduce risks around carcinogens. Samara, GARDNER, Win News.
When Win News continues, some colourful talent wins prestigious awards for floristry. And we take a look at what's being entered in this year's SAMARA Art Show. The number of people in the village of SAMARA is expected to boom over the long weekend, with the biennial art show drawing tourism. More than 100 artists are showcasing their work, including a Bathurst woodcarver who is entering for the first time.
N has been carving all his life, trading in his childhood pocket knife for artist chisels. He says timber guides an artist's imagination.
Never mind how long ago it's been cut down, it still lives and it still breathes and it still changes with humidity and the weather.
For the first time, he has decided to enter the Turon Biannual Art Exhibition. He says the key to good art is taking your time. One of his pieces can take from a week to years to finish.
If you want a good job, then you have to put good material there and a lot of effort. I always say, if you do something, get the best timber you can get the tool sharp,
Anne is one of 34 artists in what's looking to be a record-breaking exhibition, with 140 artworks on display, some from as far as Wollongong. It's an event the entire community gets behind.
The children from Safar and Wattle Flat schools, they do the artwork that goes on each of the programs. We have 60 programs, so we've got 60 artworks from the kids.
For a village, this means a boom in tourism.
And there's a lot of people around and they just wander in off the street and have a look. All the locals come, of course. And yeah, it's just adds more to Safala for the tourists and for the locals.
The exhibition opens Friday night. Alison Dance, Win News.
The Dunedoo community has rallied to support the ban on plastic bags by creating reusable fabric bags for local businesses. Organised by Dunedoo and Coolar Landcare, the initiative is also teaching others by holding sewing workshops in the community.
With supermarkets implementing a single-use plastic ban, the Central West went through a transitional phase, with many shoppers struggling with the swap over. However, for Dunedoo, the transition has been made a lot easier.
As many people are aware at the moment, we're trying to get rid of single-use plastic bags, and we have a very dedicated group of young people and older people who've decided to join with us in creating fabric bags.
The Landcare Group came up with the idea after receiving the Livable Communities grant from the state government.
The whole idea of the grant is to try and connect people back to their communities. So we're encouraging seniors and our younger members of the community to get together.
And making reusable bags is working, with people of all ages helping make the bags. Customers already embracing the switch to the locally made product. Trish from Dunedoo Supermarket donating all the fabric for the bags to help support the project.
We've got to help one another. Simple as that. We don't help one another, there's nothing.
Other shop owners are also getting behind the cause, hanging the bags in their shop fronts to spread the message. The Dunedoo Landcare Group also hopeful the bags will have a more local touch in the future.
We're going to be actually printing some of the local businesses' logos on there and making them special for that particular business.
Adam Murray, Win News.
Two TAFE students studying floristry at Bathurst and Orange have taken out the top prize at this year's Flower Growers of New South Wales Scholarship Competition. Both students will now move forward to complete the final part of their studies, funded by a $2,500 scholarship.
Flowers are a passion for students studying floristry at TAFE, with some taking their skills to the next level and competing in a mystery box challenge in Sydney.
To create a table setting in a Bollywood theme. After we had the 5 minutes to prepare, we could open the box of flowers. So the box of flowers contained very bright Bollywood colours.
With only 50 minutes to give it their best shot, competitors admit the challenge was a little daunting at first.
I opened it up and it said Bollywood. I went, ouch. I thought, oh, Bollywood. I wasn't really familiar with Bollywood. But anyway, I opened the flowers and then it just all happened. You start creating and doing the best you can.
Both Lindy and Debbie created colourful masterpieces consisting of different flower varieties and peacock feathers. And both came out on top, receiving a $2,500 scholarship.
I was very, very surprised actually. The competition I felt in Sydney was of a high standard. I felt a bit rushed at the end of the time, so to find out that I'd won was really exciting.
And it's not the first time floristry students from the Central West have taken out the top spot.
The last 4 years we've had winners, and in the previous years we actually came second in the state.
Both ladies hope to continue their studies through into 2020 and become florists in the future. Ellie Bryce, Win News.
Australia's biggest springtime celebration is about to be taken up a notch, with Floriade Nightfest opening to the public tonight. With school holidays just around the corner, tourists from across the country are expected to flock to the event, including its new 5-night program.
A kaleidoscope of colour and light enliven the park, bringing a new dimension to the sights and scents we get by day.
I see something by day and then see it transform
into something totally different at night time.
This is the signature light display, spiralling trees that ripple and pulse with colour. More than 30,000 individual bulbs make up Nortala's forest. There's 1,000 projections spread across the other floral displays. The spectacle is brought to life by a team also involved with Sydney's Vivid, Dubai's New Year's Eve and more.
Fantastic displays that not only are seen around Australia but also internationally.
Floriade After Dark also fuses the flowers with festivities.
It's not only just about the flowers, but it is about the entertainment, it's about the music, the food.
Each night has a central attraction in keeping with the theme of pop culture. There'll be classic movies and music, an 80s party and a few laughs, depending on which night you go. Feature acts include Lucy Sugarman, Kate Miller-Heike, Akmal Salah and Aj Barker. The splitting of offerings across several nights is a strategic ploy by the promoters, who are hoping there'll be more repeat customers.
It is something very different for the Canberra calendar.
The event also a chance for Canberra companies like Underground Spirits to show off their wares to a larger audience.
Floriade is so Canberran. It's going to be great to show our product to everyone and then they take back their experience of our great spirits to wherever they come from.
Tens of thousands of people are expected through the gates over the 5 nights.
You can buy a ticket for just one night or a trilogy ticket or for the entire event.
Michael Hammond, Win News.
Amy, now with sport, and some lucky juniors get some tips on skateboarding.
They sure do, Jeff, all in preparation for the Bluntside Skate Park Series in Cowra. Also, the New South Wales Masters Road Championships take over Orange and Molong. In sport, Orange and Molong played host to the annual New South Wales Masters Road Championships. Long straights, slight crosswinds and nasty little climbs, making for a tough road race course.
Ben NEPPL is your state champion.
Ben NEPPL and Peter Wakefield escaped the bunch early in the Masters Men 3 road race. NEPPL holding on in the sprint to the line before Dubbo Cycling Club's Jason Farr crossed the line in third. Already NEPPL has his sights set on bigger targets.
Eyes are set nationally on Gippsland this year, so working in with my coach Stephen Lane to get myself prepared, and my teammate John Millington, who's racing M1 at the moment with a lap to go. So we're looking to get a good result at Nationals.
In the Masters Men 4, Matthew Warner-Smith fended off 3 other riders, including Bathurst's Jeremy Ryan, to claim the win. It was a double win for the Hunter Club.
You always want to win, nothing's guaranteed. It's always a bit of a lottery in a bike race. There are so many guys in there, but I thought it was a reasonable chance, yeah.
Wayne Sanchez left his run late in the Masters Men 5.
The Sutherland Shire rider coming hard on a big gear, a massive gear. He grabs it, 291, takes it out.
But just coming into the last K, yeah, probably a little bit too far to the front. So just slowed up, let 4 or 5 riders go past me, and then sat back in and 100 metres to go. Opened it up, mate, so yeah, got it done.
The Central West had 7 different gold medal winners, Simone Grounds taking the lot with wins overall in the road race, criterium and time trial. Brian Vanderwacker, Win News.
With the introduction of the Bluntside Skate Park Series, the sports reached new heights across the Central West. Competition organiser Rick KONZA is adding further interest in the series by holding clinics to give youngsters a bit of a taste of what to expect in the competition.
For these youngsters, any tips they can get serves as a huge boost heading into next week's Bluntside Skate Park Series event in Cowra.
Yeah, I only learned how to go up the quarter a couple of days ago and down the quarter like Wednesday.
It's all about unearthing the talent that lives in the Central West.
We always just try and prosper the kids and show them like different techniques with their bodies and stuff, and basically trying to give them the best chance at progression in all aspects of the sport that they're looking for. So,
just 2 rounds into the series and there has been plenty of interest from competitors, all hoping to qualify for the National Championships.
You're going to see everyone's in their own little pond at the moment, in their own little communities, and all we're trying to do is flood it so everyone just comes together, and then it's just going to be like, yeah, we're going to show what the regional kids can actually do.
They're averaging between 40 to 50 contestants at each round and clinic, which is exceeding their expectations. It means the competition can be harder if riders want to be selected for the next qualifying round.
The sponsors are coming on board. They're looking at regional talent, and they want to start putting some regional teams together to take these guys to the coast and compete in like the bigger comps.
The series continues in Cowra next Wednesday before heading to Parkes on October 6. Brian Vanderwacker, Win News.
NRL star Greg Inglis has been confirmed for this weekend's Koori knockout in Dubbo. He'll play for the Maxville-based Wall Street Warriors. The knockout has a history of NRL players taking part. Last year in Wagga, Andrew Fafita played for Griffith, which went down to the Newcastle Yowies in the grand final. The knockout was in doubt when players voiced their concerns on social media, saying New South Wales Rugby League hadn't sanctioned the event. The reply came to comments saying the competition organisers had only asked for the event to be sanctioned earlier this week and said the knockout will go ahead as planned. And that is it from this side of the desk, Jeff.
Amy, thank you. Weather is next with Tanya, and as we saw earlier, there has been a little bit of relief for our farmers.
That's right, Jeff. Showers were enjoyed in parts of the region, but a lot of areas did miss out. I'll have more next. Temperatures feeling cooler than the mercury showed. Ben captured these gorgeous tulips, quite the spring shot. If you've taken a weather photo you'd like to see up on screen, you can email it through to weather@wintv.com.au. Let's have a look at the details from today. Winds reached 43 kilometres an hour at Coonabarabran today. It started off with 7, saw a top of 21. 27 was the high for Nyngan Warren, not far behind on 26 degrees. Now, as mentioned, there were some welcome showers overnight, continuing in some parts of the region today, but the rain was more concentrated to eastern parts of the region. Mudgee picked up 14 millimetres in the 24 hours to 9 a.m, while Orange saw a couple of millimetres, backed up by about 8 millimetres between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. today. Taking a look at the dams now, Burrendong is sitting at 27%, with Wangala at 54% capacity. On the satellite, a high pressure system near Tasmania is extending a ridge into the Tasman Sea, while a low pressure trough lies just off the New South Wales coast, with another over the western inland. On the synoptic, the high will shift to the Tasman Sea tonight and tomorrow as the next cold front approaches from the west. Taking a look at the forecast for the central west slopes and plains, and the sun will be shining tomorrow. A low of 9 degrees for Nyngan. It's heading for a top of 28 throughout the day. 28 also the forecast high for Coonamble. 26 degrees at Gilgandra. The central tableland, some patchy light frost in the south early on, as well as some early morning fog, followed by a mostly sunny day. 3 the low at Lithgow, heading for a top of 18 degrees tomorrow. For Orange, some light early frost and then sunny, starting off with 2 degrees, heading for a top of 18. Sunrise will be at 5:46 in the morning, and in the days ahead, becoming cloudy on Friday. The chance of a couple of showers in some places, as well as the chance of storms. There's a slight chance of a morning shower for the slopes and plains on Saturday before sunshine. Partly cloudy for the tablelands with a medium chance of showers. Snow possible above 1,200 metres, and sunny all round on Sunday, but still a bit of yo-yoing when it comes to those temperatures, Jeff.
Tanya, thank you. And that is Win News for Wednesday, the 26th of September. To view some of our reports, visit the Win News Central West Facebook page. I'm Jeff Phillips. Coming up next is The Project. Good night.
This has been a Win News presentation. Win News, Regional Australia's #1 news source.